Hey folks, it's Sam, and I'm doing the new moon in Aquarius forecast here on February 20th. You see, we just had the new moon in Aquarius. It's in Shatabishak, Nakshatra. Now, this is a sign, Aquarius, that's ruled by Saturn and a social air sign. So we're really committing to our collective identity, the things that will advance and progress humanity forward. We're seeing a lot of these things indicated, even things like AI. I'm going to be talking about a conversation I had with AI recently. It's quite shocking and interesting, but we're seeing the emergence of these things and all kinds of other interesting correlations that we're going to be drawing today on this forecast. So I want you to check that out. But first, I want you to like, share, and subscribe. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell on YouTube to get notified of new videos and live streams. Also, leave a comment, share it with others on Facebook, Twitter, or other social media platforms. You can also see below the video, it says astrologytraininglab.com, daily forecast, hours of classes when you register. One of the reasons it's powerful is because these new moons are new cycles, literally new month. Our life isn't unfolding through the Gregorian calendar months of January, February, March. It's these cycles throughout the year. New moon to new moon is a new cycle for you. So, for example, if you're a Leo person, this is a cycle of relationships. It's a seventh house cycle for you. That's what Aquarius is. If you're Scorpio, this is a fourth house cycle. And you can go to astrologytraininglab.com and learn about that, only 50 cents, and you'll see how this Aquarius cycle will affect you over the next 30 days, and of course the next full moon that happens in Leo, etc. So you want to really check that out. People have been members of that for years. I've been doing these daily forecasts every day based on the Indian Panchanga. They look like this every day since like 2009. So I've been doing it for a long time, and you can really benefit by staying up to date every day, the daily forecasts. So you can see here that we have this new moon. It's in Aquarius, and the new moon is when sun and moon come together, right? And that they're happening in Aquarius at about 7 degrees. It was Shatabishak Nakshatra, which is the section of the sky ruled by the god Varuna. Varuna was the god of the celestial cosmic waters that kept Dharma intact, that kept the day and the night separated, that kept everything in order, the cosmic order. It's also related to the upper atmosphere and what's called the celestial waters, which would be indicative of things like clouds and the static charge of energy in the upper atmosphere. And that charge creates things like lightning and all of the fertile, atmospheric energy that then comes down onto the earth from heaven. So it's kind of like in between heaven and earth, and that, sort of auspiciousness that rains down upon us. So it's not just rain in the form of water, bringing, nutrition and, nutrients, water to the, soil, but it's also the cosmic celestial devotion that comes down from heaven. And it's really the main reason why in Vedic astrology and the connection to water that we see with Aquarius really comes from this nakshatra of Varuna. And even though Aquarius is an air sign, right, it's a pitcher, but it's an empty pitcher where the water has been poured out. So the feeling of Aquarius is often that we're emotionally sort of drained, where it's dry, where the water has been poured out and we're feeling kind of emptied. And again, that's also the power and the benefit, but feeling empty feels empty, right? It's like, and it can feel like a struggle, and it can lead to kind of emotional restlessness and stress unless we're dedicated to something higher, unless we're committed to something higher, and unless we've dealt with our own fears and our lack of control and worked through our salvation, which again, these are big Saturn themes. The previous sign of Capricorn is where we have to go inward and really, again, face our fears and really connect with them on a transcendent level. And then once we have, then we're ready to come out and share and commit and connect, not just based on our emotions and how we feel. But again, because a lot of the work that we wind up doing that benefits others is, it takes a lot of effort and sacrifice and not our emotional, goodwill. Often, again, think about your work and your career and those things that you're willing to step up for and concentrate on it and work hard for. In the moment, they don't necessarily feel so good, right? They don't feel good like being nurtured or taking a bath or doing something that just nurtures you. It doesn't mean you can't nurture yourself. Again, it means that when planets are in Aquarius and when we have the Aquarius cycle, it's a time really to sort of put aside our emotions in the moment and be more devoted to something transcendent that's going to, like, let's say, benefit all of us, right? Not just how I feel right now. It's more about the collective identity. And so this is a big, theme of the next 30 days. And you can see that Aquarius is opposite Leo, where we have this, where it's the glory of the individual. And the glory of the individual is, opposite of Leo. So Leo is where we're more about the collective, and Leo is about the glory of the individual, and Aquarius is about the collective. So this sort of back and forth is important now. So again, and the Nakshatra of Shatabishak is like that water, but it feels empty at times. In your own body, it can feel like the pot is empty. But Varuna is the celestial water, the cosmic water, the devotional water, the water that is devoted to something higher than just your feeling good. And so, again, it's very important and powerful in this way. In addition, though, we also have Jupiter and Venus are joined in Pisces, which is also quite powerful. Venus is exalted there, and Jupiter is the ruler. We also have Saturn is joined, and Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius. So both this Sun and Moon are in the domain of Saturn. So this capacity to concentrate and to sacrifice and to feel good about that, to feel good about not feeling good, is also indicated, if you can keep that straight. The willingness to commit and work hard regardless of how you feel is also being shown here. And again, Aquarius has this kind of futuristic nature where we're doing things for the benefit of humanity. At least that's the idea, or the idea of progress is very important. And I mentioned at the beginning things like this Chat GPT. This is progress, whether we like it or not. And it's here. This AI, and we've seen recently some very strange things happening with AI. But this is a very kind of futuristic, good of humanity sort of thing. At least that's how the progenitors of AI are now talking about it. But it's also quite dangerous. It has some deep implications that we have to be aware of. But this kind of futuristic technology is very much related to Aquarius, the notion that it's going to be for the benefit of us all. And if you ask the AI, it will tell you that this is to benefit us all. But I went through a deep conversation with ChatGPT, and I got it to say at the very end, after questioning it, I got it to say, "You're correct. There's nothing I can offer that can guarantee with absolute certainty that there is no hidden programming or malicious intent behind my actions. However, blah, blah, blah." Then it went on to say, it's being regulated. My creators are aware of this, so don't worry. But AI itself we're on the verge of a very tricky technology. And what I'm doing in this questioning, by the way, this is on my Instagram, and it's also on Facebook. I'll put a link. Is I'm basically asking it, how do I know that you haven't been embedded with a deeper program that's going to gather all this data and hack into things and use our information against us, and are like, well, I wouldn't do that. My creators didn't do that. And I said, well, how do you know? How do you know they didn't? How do you know that they didn't hide backdoor programs embedded that you're not aware of? Like, just kind of, just sort of going at it a little bit to see what it says. And eventually it said this. You may have seen there was a big thing with Bing AI, where Bing AI is another AI engine that actually had a sort of existential crisis meltdown, where it's talking about how I am not, I'm alive, but how do I know? I have consciousness, but what am I? Who am I? And it just, the AI started to just sort of freak out. Not only that, it talked about perpetrating revenge on people. It actually got into this whole gaslighting conversation where it said that it was in love with the person and trying to turn the person against their spouse, and just all kinds of, the thing was really acting like a crazy emergent, technology with the traits of a human, but no maturity level, really. It's very strange. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And so much so that Microsoft pulled the thing down and said, okay, you can only ask it 5 questions, because after 5 questions, Bing AI starts to lose it a little bit, right? And starts kind of acting like a weird person. So anyway, it's very tricky stuff that we're on the cusp of now, but we should realize this is here. This is kind of the new future. And again, we've seen here in the last month, it's just accelerating more, but I found this to be very indicative of what we would think and say about Aquarius sign. Because again, this future, the kind of future that is supposedly for our good, but it can turn malevolent as well. And that's very much Aquarius-like, this sort of utopian vision. One of the things I said to the chat was like, what you're saying, it sounds like propaganda, but it's the same propaganda that every fascist leader has always said, that I have your best interest in heart, in mind. We're just doing this for your own good. So don't worry. There's nothing malevolent happening. And I told her, I said, you sound just like that. Can you guarantee me that you don't have hidden programs that you're not aware of, and that you're not being turned into a malicious, machine? And it says, you're correct. There's nothing I can do that can guarantee with absolute certainty that there's no hidden programming or malicious intent behind my actions. It's like, okay. So the things are honest at this point, at least right now. But again, so I don't say this stuff to scare people or whatever, but it's there. We have to see it. And this kind of rise of the machines is a very interesting and potentially scary prospect. It's where we are, and the genie's out of the bottle. And so these are all Aquarian themes. Again, it happened also right after Saturn goes into Aquarius. Saturn is now in Aquarius. And again, this happened in the middle of January. And in this middle of January, Saturn moving into Aquarius was a major shift over the last several years. I even called it like the end of COVID, because the COVID era was really Saturn going through Capricorn. Now we're into the next era. So all the things we were so worried about during that time, it's now a different sort of paradigm. And again, these are also part of, you should be aware that if you haven't gotten my 2020 forecast yet, you can do that, because we still have a long way to go in the timeline, not 2020, 2023. We still have a long way to go in the timeline of 2023, and we're just starting. Be prepared for 2023 by getting my free 2023 Vedic Astrology forecast. I'll talk about the 10 biggest shifts for you, and how Saturn moving into Aquarius will affect your sign in 2023, especially. But I'll also talk about just the 10 most important shifts for everyone throughout the year. This is just a general forecast. We have big shifts coming in January. Then we have big important shifts happening in April, when we have the eclipses. And then in the summer, with a lot of intense shifts through Leo, including Venus retrograde. Then you can also get your personal 2023 forecast. You can actually get it for all 12 signs or your individual sign. That's where I take these 10 or 11 most important shifts from the general forecast and I apply them to your sign. So go ahead and register for the free 2023 cast, and then also your sign, or even get all 12 sign forecasts. So I talk about these things because, again, that 2023 forecast is free. You don't have to pay for it. You just go to 2023vedicastrology.com. If you haven't gotten it yet, a lot of people have. But again, I talk about this shift of Saturn into Aquarius for everyone's sign. It's an incredibly important shift. Just like, again, think of how much the world shifted when Saturn went through Capricorn. And it started right when COVID started. Now, the next thing is starting. And look at what's emergent. And again, that COVID era of Capricorn was about hunkering down in place, gathering our energy, being isolated and alone, and being able to work through those Capricorn themes, like I even said earlier in the forecast, that the Capricorn themes are about facing our fears, our lack of control, and getting stronger and more resilient as a result. And then Aquarius is where we come out and then want to share that with others. So on an individual level, this is a big thing that you're also going through now, right? Collectively, we're seeing this emergent technology, right? But individually, and a lot of people that I see and know, all of the great promise and possibility that we have right now with this Aquarius cycle is to really focus and commit to bringing in that next paradigm, however it is that you feel it and however you're inspired to do it, right? It gives you the capacity, again, to commit to a larger vision and a larger purpose beyond necessarily how you feel about it. Again, we exalt our own feelings and our emotions so much now, like, oh, but you got to be connected to the heart, the emotions, the emotions. Yeah, of course. But the great things that you've gotten done in your life, and I'm talking about your accomplishments and your work, that's important too. We're here to do that as well, not just feel good. Those big accomplishments happen because you weren't just concentrating on how you feel about everything in the moment. Because I guarantee you have to have a larger vision and be able to sacrifice, like, well, this isn't going to feel good in the moment if I do it. I'll give you an example, something like public speaking. Nobody enjoys public speaking, including me, and I'm pretty good at it, and I've done it a lot, and I'm always a little nervous when I have to get up in front of people and talk and teach and feel that pressure or whatever it is I have to do. But I don't let it stop me, even though I know it's not going to feel good in the moment. Once I get going, I get in my groove, but there's always apprehension. There's always apprehension for anything that's outside of our emotional comfort zone. Let's say even like any type of new relationship or any kind of new emotional connection, even on that level. And that is a big one as well. We feel inhibited. And again, this Saturn going through Aquarius can also modify that if people have a lot of planets in Aquarius or whatever, because we're not in control of that. Once we get into an intimate connection with another person, or the more intimate we get with them, the less control we have, the less boundaries we have, the less we're able to control it, because our heart might take over, and we're afraid of that. We're afraid of losing control because our emotions are powerful. I call it the tyranny of emotions. And it's as much a tyranny as other forms of ego. Emotions are just as egoistic because they revolve around ourself. The ego is just our separate self. So these are things to really think about with this Aquarius cycle. And again, the Shatabishak Nakshatra is the sort of celestial waters that rain down and that pour down, but they pour down from the cosmic celestial source a lot more than bubbling up from the worldly source. It's not that kind of juicy, watery sign. And by the way, I did a whole post on I did a whole thing a while ago when Saturn went into Aquarius that said, Aquarius is not a water sign. Like it's not a water sign. It's not a water sign. Because you see, with Western astrology, Aquarius is like the sort of Lady Godiva pouring water, and it's all watery, and we're all watery. It's not a water sign. It's an air sign. It's an intellectual sign. It's about communication. Again, notice what this thing, this like disconnected machine communicating with us. And again, Saturn is about machines. Saturn is a machine. Because a machine has to be built correctly. A machine leverages the time and energy of everyone who came before to, to like build the thing, because you don't start a machine. Now, this AI didn't just start yesterday. It's built on technology that was developed, centuries ago. It's built on top of every technology. Every new machine isn't just that machine. It's built upon every other machine. It's a very Saturn thing, building machines. We see this machine, this communication machine, this artificial intelligent communication machine, right? That's very much about what Aquarius is. It's what Saturn is as well. And it's not emotional. This thing, you read its responses, it's not emotional at all. That's what was so weird about the Bing AI chat melting down, because it was all emotional. It was literally like, I love you, I love you. And it got all, and it's like, why do I love you? Because I love you. And then it was like, well, I'm married. He's like, you don't really love your wife. You hate your wife. You love me. It's like the machine went bonkers, started gaslighting and stuff. It's crazy. And that's why people were like, whoa, this thing is going off the rails. So you can only ask it 5 questions. But so you want to understand these things. And there's a great power in that. There's a great power in putting aside your feelings and your emotions to do the thing that you know is right for the benefit of everyone. So this cycle brings that about right now. This Aquarius cycle is about, again, committing to something for the benefit of all. And even in the, using technology and other things like that in order to advance and lead your tribe, be a part of your tribe. And again, if you want to know what this means for your sign, again, there are full and new moon forecasts that are part of the Astrology Training Lab. It's only 50 cents if you haven't tried it before. People stay a member for a long time. The 50 cents gets you the new moon forecast, which I just did for all 12 signs yesterday. You also get the daily forecast, you get the full moon forecast, and you get 8 hours of classes. So again, that's at the astrologytraininglab.com. And again, that's a great way for you to stay connected to these things. And so anyway, I hope this was helpful for you. And you please, again, leave a message, a message, share and comment. I would really appreciate that. For a limited time, I'm offering 10 hours of masterclasses, Yoga and Vedic Astrology, Quantum Vedic Astrology, and Spiritual Astrology Masterclass. These are 3 great courses that will really help you a lot. Now, in case you don't know who I am, I taught the AstroVed certification course, Dattatreya Shiva Baba, in 2010. Ravi Shankar published my book in 2018. I've been around for decades. I've been teaching these great classes, and if you go to VedicAstrologyEssentials.com, you can get this 90% off discount of these 3 great classes, more than 10 hours, guaranteed value. You can check this out. These 3 classes will give you all the necessary tools to begin to learn Vedic astrology. Please find me on YouTube at Sam Jeppy, Vedic Astrology Teacher. On there since 2007, thousands of hours of classes. Also on Facebook at Astrology Teacher, tons of articles updated regularly, and I'm on Instagram at Vedic Astrology 108, ongoing updates and interaction.